Seton, what's poll question today?
Well, we got one here from Marvin this fun. We might as well jump right ahead to it. Now that the NFL draft is over, who do you want to see in Hard Knocks this season?
Oh, Cleveland.
I mean, right?
Cleveland. That's it.
It's got to be Cleveland.
Cleveland. Yeah.
Not even close, right?
Boy, it was one of those stories that I wanted it to go away, but if you're NFL Network and the mothership, you didn't want it to go away because the number of people who stayed tuned to the weekend, the Friday and Saturday of the NFL draft. And ratings were up, I think, 40% for the second day of the draft. Or the final day of the draft. That's unheard of. But it's because of one story, one player, Shedeur Sanders. And the number of revisionist history experts who've come out to tell us now why Shedeur Sanders dropped. Where were you guys before the draft? Where was everybody before this happened? The only thing I told you was at the end of the show on Thursday, prior to the first round, my source said, I don't have a first-round grade on him. That was it. And he did say he didn't look at the interviewing or how poorly Shedeur Sanders interviewed. He said, I'm just looking at football stuff. He goes, I'm looking at what I saw. Now, he was at the Shrine Bowl, and, Shedeur didn't do any of the drills down there, and they felt that he was a little standoffish with that, or, hey, I know where I'm going, where I'm going to be drafted. I'll put up with this sort of dog and pony show, but you start to hear these stories that he's doing a FaceTime while he's in an interview with the Giants, with the team meeting. That would be a red flag. But do I think this is a league-wide conspiracy? Do I think it's collusion? I don't, because the NFL is cutthroat. These coaches know they get 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, to be able to hold on to their jobs, or GMs. Do I think that everybody went, hey, I'm not taking him, I'm not taking him, I'm not taking him? The one team that really surprised me who did not take him was the Raiders, because Tom Brady's now in charge. Tom Brady has known Shedeur Sanders a long time. He has helped mentor him. He knows him. And they do have Geno Smith, but I thought if any team who knows him and has the opportunity to draft him, it's the Raiders because of Tom Brady. How many times did they pass on him? And they eventually took a couple of quarterbacks at the end of the draft. That surprised me. I think Cleveland, look, do I think the owner said we're going to go up and get him for whatever reason? Yes, I do. I think this was Jimmy Haslam telling the GM and the coach, let's go get him. Let's stop this. He has a relationship with Dion. They developed a relationship during the whole draft process. But I do like that landing spot for him. I would not be surprised at all if Shedeur Sanders starts a game this year, at least one game with Cleveland. In fact, if you said over under 1.5 games for Shedeur Sanders, I might go over. We've seen these guys who are 4th, 5th, 6th round picks now in the last couple of years. They get a chance to start. And I think Shedeur Sanders will get a chance to start. Did he get humbled? Yes, he did. I thought that that's where he was going to go. It felt like that. I certainly felt that I thought he was going to go first pick, second round. I just thought that made sense. But it comes back to a lot of different things that it felt like the guys who do mock drafts, all they did is take whatever was told to them, and then they just kept spitting it back out. Hey, it's Shedeur Sanders. He might go 3. He might go 2. I mean, we put the over-under at 5.5. I didn't know it'd be 5.5 rounds. Vegas had it 8.5. We thought he was going to go to the Saints. And then all of a sudden, this is where you get the professionals to look at a draft prospect, not guys who are mock draft people. Okay? A lot of that's for clicks, and there's a mock draft for next year already out. It's big business. We understand all of that. But when you get the guys whose jobs are to analyze this, that their job is, like the mock draft guys don't get fired. If a scout screws up, the scout gets fired. That's where you get real intel. Now, it takes a while to get that intel. I'm still working on some Cleveland Browns intel, but, that's where you get guys who come in and go, hey, I see this or I don't see that. His arm strength, it's not great. Everybody kept saying the same thing. He's tough, and he is. I put him third on my Heisman ballot. He was tough in an offensive line that wasn't very good. He did have a bailout, certainly with one great receiver and a very good receiver. Didn't have a running game at all. But some of the things that were said, Nick Baumgardner of The Athletic, he was talking about how Shedeur Sanders, he basically said to teams, look at the tape. I don't need to be working out. And he goes on to say in his article on The Athletic, you cannot simply declare yourself something you aren't and hope nobody checks on it. Todd McShay had some things to say about this, about what happened with the Giants. It didn't go well. Frustration with him not being prepared. Basically didn't want to go through what everybody else went through. And then the Giants traded up to take Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Baumgardner goes on to write, the reality here is that Shedeur Sanders is a good football player, a quality prospect, and someone who could eventually turn into a functional starter so long as he's surrounded by talent and a strong offensive line. But the questions about his arm talent, size, pocket processing, and general overconfidence were very real. All right. You had another draft analyst who said personality nitpicks wouldn't be an issue if he had put together a better tape. One evaluator said that Sanders would have gotten a third-round grade in a year with better QB prospects. Now, I do believe that. I think he was elevated because there weren't great quarterbacks. And Cam Ward would have been the fifth or sixth quarterback last year. So where would Shedeur Sanders have been on that list? He might have been the eighth or ninth quarterback taken. There were other quarterbacks that teams felt more comfortable with. Jackson Dart is probably a better athlete than Shedeur. Jackson Dart is a really good quarterback. Thought he was going to be a first-round pick. Did I think Shedeur was going to fall this far? Absolutely not. But you go back to how good are you? And, there's a sliding scale of productivity, and then you have this sideshow. Like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was not going to be brought in by teams, and they would say this. They didn't want more attention for their backup quarterback than their starting quarterback. So it does happen. Cam Newton, same way. I was just surprised. I thought that in a draft that didn't have great quarterbacks, maybe somebody's going to take a chance. Now, Dylan Gabriel at Oregon is a better athlete than Shedeur Sanders. He has more passing yards and more passing touchdowns than anybody in the history of college football. He's a Russell Wilson type, left-handed and very athletic. Cleveland takes him. So that quarterback room is going to be interesting. You're going to have Joe Flacco in there. It'd be like a daycare, He's in there, and he's 40 years of age, and he's got all these younger guys in there. Remember, they traded for Kenny Pickett. And you still have Deshaun Watson. It's so Brownsian to do what they did. Congratulations. They did a wonderful job. But I do think Shedeur Sanders went to the right place for him because he can prove himself. They don't have proven talent in that room except for Joe, but Joe's 40 and a man. So